Well, good afternoon. A very happy Friday to you. I hope you've all had a great week and looking forward to the weekend. My daily weather report, I'm delighted to say it's going to get nice and warm for the weekend. So we're looking forward to some nice walks, which will be just great. So today we are visiting the fabulous town of Stratford, which is definitely one of our favourites. There is so much history attached to our beautiful town of Stratford. So we'll share a little bit of history and a little bit of what your clients can get up to. Now, in terms of access, it won't surprise you to hear, because I think I say this most times, we've got some great contacts. So in terms of access to the Royal Shakespeare Company, and all of the real highlights of Stratford, we can certainly get you the best. And our guides are just stunning. If you've got clients who are really into the whole theatrical bit, then we really can go to town. But I'll share a little bit more about that with you. And we'll talk about the location. It's not, although it is a Cotswolds town, it's known more as the gateway to the Cotswolds because it sits right at the north end. So there's wonderful access, which is just great. So there he is, the man himself, who has really, I think, well and truly put Stratford on the map. And the beauty of it is all of this fabulous Tudor architecture. It was a thriving wool market town back in the day, and so much of this beautiful architecture has been preserved. I think there's the highest concentration in Stratford than anywhere in the country. So it really is. It's even better in the flesh. So a little bit about our wonderful bard who wrote, well, in perhaps my humble opinion, some of the best plays that you're ever likely to see. And talking of which, actually, I'm sure some of you have been to Stratford, and I'm sure you have maybe seen the odd Shakespeare play or two. So it would be great at the end if you could share your favourite Shakespeare play, and let's compare notes. Lisa and I were talking about it before, and I've really struggled. I do love Macbeth. It's not the most cheerful play on the planet, obviously, but it's so incredible. And I did see Judi Dench playing Lady Macbeth, and she was utterly terrifying and magnificent all at the same time. But then I also love Twelfth Night, which is obviously a lot more light-hearted and fun. So if you'll permit me, I'll have two. I hope that's all right. Um, so in terms of exploring Stratford and the place that Shakespeare was born, Mary Arden was his mother, and you can visit the place where she was born and brought up. And then Anne Hathaway, who became Shakespeare's wife. I mean, her cottage is probably one of the most pictured places in Stratford. It's absolutely beautiful. So you can have a lovely private tour. Your clients can have a lovely private tour there. And then Hallscroft was where Shakespeare's daughter lived, and Hall was Shakespeare's son-in-law. So and it's one of the best preserved, sort of a half timber framed house. So it really is just it's just lovely, and you do travel back through time. Actually, there is Anne Hathaway's cottage, just a absolutely stunning style. Now, many clients ask us when they go to Stratford, as to whether they should go to the theatre or not, and because some of them aren't necessarily great theatre fans or theatre goers. My recommendation always is to say yes. because whatever performance is on at the time of their visit, seeing a Shakespeare play in Stratford is an amazing experience. Watching the performance in the round as it was done, well, almost as it was done back in the day, is just magical. And the absolute all-time greats in terms of actors have performed at the RSC, and it really is just wonderful. And there have been some famous American actors. Mia Farrow has performed in Stratford, and Irene Worth apparently played. It was a bit before my time, but played apparently one of the most extraordinary performances of Lady Macbeth. So a few of your actors have perhaps cut their teeth and done fabulous performances there too. And as you'll see when we show you the prices and so on, there's a lovely opportunity to have a champagne reception up on the rooftop, and also amazing behind the scenes tours. So you can see people, actors auditioning, go into where all of the amazing costumes are housed. I mean, it's really extraordinary. So I think it's worth a visit. I'm maybe a bit biased. I do love it, but it's worth a visit, I think. Now, we did cheat a little bit here. This was a performance at the a temporary Globe Theatre that was erected in Blenheim Palace, and we went to see a performance of A Midsummer Night's Dream last summer, which was just wonderful. Now, as with so many of our beautiful market towns, um, the opportunity to go exploring Stratford from the river is well worth doing. You get a very different perspective of it. So if you've been guided by a bard through the town, including there's a rather amazing Gothic clock tower that was donated by one of your countrymen back in 1887, George Childs, who was from Philadelphia, and he was a businessman and a philanthropist and a huge fan of Stratford. So he very generously donated a clock, and it's amazing actually when you look above it. You can see both the American eagles and English lions battling for supremacy. So it's just beautiful, and it's in the centre of the town, so you can't miss it. And as I said earlier, if you have clients who are real Shakespeare fans, we have the most amazing guide who is just wonderful, and he dresses the part, and he will even describe everything in Shakespearean English if they so desire. But it's a great fun, very different type of guided tour. Really only recommended for those who are Shakespeare fans. If your clients just want to visit Stratford and soak up the history, then we'd probably recommend one of our other fabulous guides. Now, very close by, with some amazing history, is Compton Verney. Nowadays, it is a centre of amazing works of art, and also beautiful gardens designed by our trusty friend from Blenheim and from Highclere, Capability Brown. So he made his mark and created the really stunning grounds that exist today. It's the house itself was lived in by the Verney family from the late 15th century through to the late 19th century, and then it was sold a couple of times, but has been very lovingly renovated and repaired since it did fall into a bit of rack and ruin. So that's literally just about 10 minutes down the road. And Warwick Castle, which is truly magnificent. And again, the opportunity to do private tours, go behind the scenes, and have the full Warwick experience. And that's just 15 miles away. So Stratford excuse me, Stratford itself is, I mean, it's a small town, beautifully done on foot, by foot. I mean, Henley has about 12,000 residents. Stratford has about 25,000. So it's beautifully small and compact, and the opportunity to walk around it is wonderful. Followed by a trip on a rather beautiful boat. So you can either choose for your clients if they want to sit back and relax with a glass of bubbles in their hand and take in the scenery and listen to the stories from their skipper, or they can head out. And we did have a marriage proposal actually on one of the rowing boats in Stratford, which was just very romantic. They fortunately she said yes, and he didn't drop the ring, so all was fine and happy. So it really is just absolutely beautiful. And you can combine it with those clients who are partial to a little G&T or a gin cocktail of some description. Combine it with a gin tasting river cruise. So there are all sorts of different options for a day, maybe even 2 days, to see the surrounding area and um, take in the real highlights of Stratford. And the advantage of clients staying overnight or close by anyway is that they can go and experience a bit something special from the Royal Shakespeare Company, which is well worth going to see. It really is just lovely. I bet it's a bit quieter over there at the moment. So location wise, as I say, it's known as the gateway to the Cotswolds because it's at the top end. 2 hours. It's a good 2 hours from London. It's not necessarily something we would always recommend to do in a day because your clients are going to have 4 to 5 hours in the car, which takes out quite a chunk, and also it's so close to so many beautiful places. I mean, Oxford and Blenheim and Bath and Chavenage and so on are so easily accessible. So if your clients do want to include Stratford, we'd probably recommend staying over in that neck of the woods. And there's a good 2 or 3 days activity if they're based in there. Now, sadly, Stratford is sort of lacking a bit in good hotels, but we'll talk about some different options. Surprisingly, it doesn't have any fantastic hotels, but close by is Broadway, which is where we would recommend that your clients stay. Um, excuse me, the beautiful National Trust house and gardens of Snows Hill Manor, which has one of the widest collections of things that the brilliant Charles Wade collected and has on display in the house. So Snows Hill is just magnificent. Sudeley Castle is, I'm a Gloucestershire girl, and it's probably one of my favourites. And it also has the distinction of being the only private castle in the country that has a member of the royal family buried there. Catherine Parr, Catherine how yes, sorry, Catherine Parr, who was Henry VIII's sixth and final wife. She outlived him. She lived at Sudeley and is buried there. So it's really rather special for that reason. I think Catherine was quite long suffering towards the end of it, but she had a few years, fortunately, after Henry VIII died. And there is some fabulous dining in Broadway, both at the hotels and in Russell. So there's, although the Stratford's quite small, there's lots to see and do around it. And if you saw our cruising and classic car tea and training event a couple of weeks ago, this is the perfect opportunity. I mean, to drive round those North Cotswolds in a classic car, climb aboard, have a river cruise, just absolutely perfect. So Ligon Arms has been through a bit of a checkered past, actually. It's a fabulous old coaching inn. It was owned by the Savoy years ago, the Savoy Group, Savoy Hotel Group, and was absolutely beautiful. And then it all went a bit horribly downhill. But now it is owned by the same brothers who own Cliveden House and Chewton Glen. And they've spent huge amounts of money on it, bringing it back up to its former glory, and it really is wonderful. I mean, it's all the wonky floors and sloping floors and walls and all that sort of thing because it's very old. But there's a beautiful courtyard where you can sit outside and have lunch or dinner, and it's right in the heart of stunning Broadway. It really is just lovely. Buckland Manor is a lot grander. It's set in a huge estate, the most beautiful spa, really, really stunning, and is perhaps a bit more classically grand, I guess, than the Ligon. So if that's what your client's looking for, we'd certainly recommend that. And just on the outskirts of Broadway is the Farncombe Estate. That houses three fabulous hotels, again, very different in style. There's everything from the real rustic environment that you'll find at the Fish, through to Dorming House, which is a small but very beautiful, with the fabulous Mo restaurant, which we'd highly recommend. So probably not best to stay in Stratford, if truth be told. There are a few corporate style hotels, a couple of sweet little boutique hotels in the centre of the town, but Broadway's only a hop, skip, and a jump away. So that's probably what we'd recommend. Now we've shared quite a lot with you that you can do in Stratford. So this gives you a broad picture of what you might be able to or might suggest to your clients, from walking tours to river cruises to lovely lunches and that fabulous evening at the theatre. I mean, it's we can create the day that they would like. And we have shared the prices from London based on a bit of feedback from you in the past. So they can do it from London. Obviously, the prices vary depending on where they're staying and what they choose to do, but this will give you a good ballpark. So I hope that has been a useful guide to what can be done in Stratford. It really is well worth a visit. And you can see the whole episode of Humphreys TV when we went to see A Midsummer Night's Dream at Blenheim Palace, which was just wonderful. We're not allowed to film in the Royal Shakespeare in the theatre in Stratford, so sorry for that, but we couldn't. We're not allowed. So, if you've got any questions, we would love to hear them, but also would love to hear which is your favourite Shakespeare play, if you'd be happy to share it with us. Any volunteers?
Perhaps Othello.
Ah, Othello, yeah, which is a great one. Thank you, Carl. No. And any questions? Is there anything else that you would like to hear? Have I missed anything, Lisa? Do you think?
No, I think you're good.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, that's fabulous. We've obviously we've done it in super quick time today. So a huge thank you for joining us. Again, that's wonderful to see you. We will send you all of the information and the glorious pictures and so on of Stratford, and hope that we'll be able to take some of your clients there when all of this is over. I will wish you a very happy weekend, and thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Samantha.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.